Have you ever felt just completely and utterly stuck? Like your life is basically set in stone? Well, we're going to dive into a story today that just shatters that whole idea. It's about how one guy, starting with absolutely nothing, used a simple 90-day deadline to totally rewrite his future. Let's get into it. So, this is where we meet Daniel. He's 29, and his life has completely cratered. I mean, no job, no money, no one. He's holed up in this tiny little room, and he's just accepted that this is it. This is the rest of his life. He's not fighting anymore, not even trying. He's just existing, like someone who's already given up but forgot to stop breathing. And then, one night, this number just sort of appears. The number 90 scribbled on a torn piece of paper in a random shop window. It's such a tiny, insignificant detail in this huge city, right? But for Daniel, it becomes the single crack of light in what was otherwise total, complete darkness. And this is the thought that sneaks in through that crack. A question he hasn't let himself even think about for months. What if he actually tried? What if this little window of time was all it took to decide who he was going to be, isn't it? So, this is where the change begins. Not with some grand, perfect plan, not with a sudden lightning bolt of motivation, but with one simple decision, sparked by a random piece of paper. He gets home, and he makes it real. He literally writes the number 90 on a scrap of paper and sticks it on the wall right where he'll see it the second he wakes up. This isn't just a number anymore. It's a deadline. It's a promise. It's his fight. And it starts tomorrow. Okay, so what happens next? Well, day one is not glamorous. There's no movie montage here. It's all about the small, incredibly difficult, and absolutely crucial act of just starting. For the first 10 days, this is Daniel's entire world, just getting up when every single part of his brain is screaming, "What's the point?" Then, walking outside. And then, he starts paying attention, watching how the world works, how people do things. And then, on day 8, he sees a little notice that's about to change everything. Just think about the power of those 3 words. Just show up. For someone who felt completely invisible, who had basically disappeared from his own life, this was the simplest, most direct instruction he could have gotten. It was an invitation without any judgment, and it was exactly what he needed to hear. So on day 10, he does it. He walks into that community center. And this is where the momentum really starts to kick in. See, Daniel is showing up, but now those little actions start to build on each other, creating this foundation of self-worth where before there was just nothing. And you can just see the chain reaction on this timeline. He meets Marcus, who doesn't ask questions, doesn't judge him, he just puts him to work. 2 days later, after messing up and trying again, he finally builds something right, and Marcus gives him this one, simple, earned nod of approval. That one nod, that's enough to bring him back the next day. And that leads to a small job, which leads to a real paycheck, and eventually a life-changing job offer from a woman named Ruth. And this is so crucial. That first small paycheck wasn't really about the cash. It was tangible proof. It was evidence that his time, his effort, it had value. For a guy who had spent months believing he was completely and utterly useless, this piece of paper was priceless. It was the very first brick in rebuilding his entire sense of self. So, by day 60, Daniel has some stability. He's got purpose. He's starting to see himself in a new light. And of course, right on cue, life throws a massive challenge at him to see if this new self is the real deal or if it's just a temporary fix. The business he works for, Ruth's business, is on the brink of going under. This huge, faceless corporation has moved in and is just crushing her on price. Ruth's business is built on heart, on community. The competitor, if nothing changes, the business is gone in a month. Daniel knows he has to do something. He decides to go door to door to tell people the real story behind Ruth's shop. But the very first door he knocks on, he gets this: a quick, sharp dismissal. And that old voice of failure just screams in his head. This is the wall of rejection he's up against. And the old Daniel, he would have walked away right then. But this is the new Daniel. After standing there, feeling that heavy weight of defeat, he does something different. He takes a deep breath and he walks to the 4th door. And that 4th door opens. An older woman actually listens to him. She really hears him. And she says, "I'll come to the shop tomorrow." That one single yes is all it takes. It's the fuel he needs to keep going. and it sparks a complete turnaround. So day after day, Daniel keeps knocking. And slowly but surely, the yeses start to outnumber the nos. Word spreads, not through ads, but through real conversations. The neighborhood makes a choice. They decide to support the person, the story, the real thing that was built right there with them. Near the end of his 90 days, Daniel is sitting with Marcus again. And Marcus hits him with this incredible insight. The real change wasn't just about getting a job or making some money. The real transformation happened inside. Daniel had built himself piece by piece, day by day, into someone who wasn't just visible, but someone that other people could actually put their faith in. So, what does all this mean for us? This is where we zoom out from Daniel's story and look at the powerful principle he discovered. Not by thinking, but by doing. So here it is, the key takeaway. We're calling it the 90-day principle. It's the simple truth that real transformation doesn't come from some special talent you're born with or from luck. It comes from the small, daily decision to just keep going, especially when every part of you wants to quit. Daniel's journey wasn't about one heroic, massive effort. It was about small, consistent actions that stacked up over time. This is why consistency always beats intensity. Intensity burns out, consistency builds momentum. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about having a purpose. He failed plenty, but he had a reason to get up and try again the next day. It all just boils down to the next small thing, facing one more door and getting through one more day. You do that 90 times in a row, and the person who finishes is not the same person who started. In the end, Daniel didn't have it all figured out when he started. He didn't have a perfect plan. He didn't wait until he felt ready. He just began. He turned absolutely nothing into everything, not because the world gave him a chance, but because he decided to take one on himself. It all started with a number on a wall, a single step outside, and the decision to just show up. So the question isn't whether you can change your life in 90 days. The only question left is, what is your day one?